up as a kid. All a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from.
Vegas Raiders have a rookie on their roster named Lynn Bowden. Now, Lynn Bowden was my favorite NFL prospect coming out of this year's draft. Lynn Bowden was drafted in the third round of this past year's NFL draft by the Las Vegas Raiders out of the University of Kentucky. And for the University of Kentucky last year, Lynn Bowden was placed in a really unique situation. He started out playing wide receiver to start the season off, but Kentucky had several of their quarterbacks go down due to injury. So Lynn Bowden was asked to step in and play quarterback for the University of Kentucky. And he took them to a bowl game, and they won a pretty good amount of games under Lynn Bowden. So Lynn Bowden came into the NFL draft. During the whole entire process, people were wondering, what position will Lynn Bowden play for whichever team drafts him? So Lynn Bowden is a guy who can do a lot of things. He played quarterback for the University of Kentucky. He threw a game-winning touchdown pass. He is an incredible runner, a solid wide receiver. So what do you do for a guy like Lynn Bowden? How would the Las Vegas Raiders use Lynn Bowden? Now, according to offensive coordinator Greg Olsen, in a media session that he did, according to this article, he said that right now we have been working out of the running backs room. The Las Vegas Raiders have a young rookie on their roster named Lynn Bowden. Lynn Bowden was my favorite NFL prospect coming out of this year's draft. He was drafted in the third round of this past year's 2020 NFL draft by the Las Vegas Raiders out of the University of Kentucky. And coming into the draft, he had a really interesting story. So in 2019, he started out as the wide receiver for the Kentucky Wildcats. But then he was asked to become their quarterback for the rest of the season when their starting quarterbacks, their first string quarterback and their backup quarterback went down due to injuries. So he was a wide receiver who basically had to get converted to quarterback and was able to take the Kentucky Wildcats football team to a bowl game in which he threw a game-winning touchdown to win. And the question going in with Lynn Bowden heading into the NFL draft during the draft process was, what position will Lynn Bowden play in the NFL? You got a guy who can play wide receiver, he can play quarterback. How do you use him? He has all kinds of athleticism. He's really talented. And the question with the Las Vegas Raiders is going to be, how will they utilize Lynn Bowden? Now, an article I came across a couple of days ago by the Raiders Wire said that Lynn Bowden could potentially be taking snaps at quarterback this season. Now, according to the article, in a recent media session with offensive coordinator Greg Olsen, they talked about how they planned on using Lynn Bowden in 2020. And he said, and I quote, "Right now we have him working out of the running backs room. He's meeting with Kirby Wilson, our running backs coach, so we've got him at the running back. But also, he had to learn a lot of things that we do at the quarterback position. You've seen the game change from year to year, the use of RPOs, the use of Taysom Hill, and those type of players that played that RPO-style offense in college, they become valuable for us. And we believe that he can transition and be a running back as well as do some of the plays at the quarterback position that he did in college." Now, Lynn Bowden in college basically was playing quarterback, but they ran the majority of the time. They pretty much ran 90% of the time, and he was really effective in that offense. And how are the Raiders going to use him? It looks like the Raiders are going to line him up everywhere. Like, I don't think he's just going to play just running back. Now, of course, when he initially got drafted, I already had a suspicion that John Gruden was planning on, having him learn the quarterback position and taking a couple of snaps at the quarterback position so they can find a way to use him in that offense. So I already knew what the Raiders were going to do. I wasn't really surprised that this came out, that the Raiders were planning on having him take snaps at quarterback this season, because when you have a guy who can do everything like Lynn Bowden, you have to try to find ways to get him the ball. So they have him at running back right now, which is a little bit caught me off guard, because I thought they would end up using him at wide receiver, especially considering the fact that going in, they didn't have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position. But it turns out they're going to end up using him as a running back. And not only if he's able to learn the running back position, but you can not only use him as a running back, but you can line him out wide. Then they're probably going to use him in wildcat situations. He's probably going to run some RPOs because he throws a pretty nice ball. Now, is he like a made-to-be franchise quarterback or something like that? No. But he is a guy who will come in and you can run a couple of plays. You can run some very unique formations with Lynn Bowden. And Lynn Bowden is a really incredible athlete. This guy in the open field is really elusive. Really hard to bring down. So, Lynn Bowden, this guy is probably going to line up everywhere for the Las Vegas Raiders. John Gruden is going to love Lynn Bowden. I think we're going to see Lynn Bowden we're going to see a lot of Lynn Bowden this year. If you're a Raiders fan, get familiar with Lynn Bowden. If you don't know who Lynn Bowden was before this video, you're pretty much going to know who he is after this season, because I think John Gruden is going to fall in love with Lynn Bowden. John Gruden is the offensive guru, man. This guy loves trying to figure out new innovative ways. And when you look at Lynn Bowden is a player that John Gruden is going to love, because you can do so much with Lynn Bowden. So, not only if he's able to learn the halfback position, he's also going to be really good catching the ball out of the backfield. So, you can line him up in slot. You can line him out outside. You can run split back formation. Josh Jacobs, Lynn Bowden. The possibilities are endless. Wildcat, you can even run some RPOs with Lynn Bowden. And you don't get that kind of, ability out of Derek Carr, because Derek Carr isn't, that athletic. Marcus Mariota, he's pretty athletic, but he doesn't, have the running ability of a Lynn Bowden. And when I say running ability, I'm talking about he's not as gifted as a runner as Lynn Bowden is. So, the possibilities for Lynn Bowden and this Raiders offense is really interesting. When he got drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders, man, I was really happy, because I know the Las Vegas Raiders was a place that will actually utilize every single ounce of his talent. So, what role will Lynn Bowden have in the Las Vegas Raiders offense? He's pretty much going to play that Taysom Hill role, but he's going to up it to another level, because I feel he is a lot better than Taysom Hill. He is already a really solid wide receiver. If he's able to learn the running back position, he's going to be able to be a threat there. He's already a pretty solid runner. Look what he did playing for Kentucky last year at the quarterback position. So, the opportunities are endless for Lynn Bowden. I'm really excited to see what Lynn Bowden does with the Las Vegas Raiders this season.